Hello, this is Real Religion. I'm Joseph Birch, and I wanted to talk about something a little different today. I am going to come back. I've been doing some videos on Hinduism, and I am going to come back to doing those. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about some other stuff. I'm doing another little series on core beliefs of different world religions. So, like I said, there's more to be said on Hinduism that can be said some other time, but basically I wrapped up what I had to say for right now, and I will probably come back to it in the future. I want to go ahead and start core beliefs with the 5 pillars of Islam. If you've never heard of the 5 pillars of Islam, it's basically the 5 main tenets that I want to say all Muslims agree on, and if I'm incorrect, someone correct me, but I think all Muslims agree on the 5 pillars, or 5, basic tenets, which are, of course, number 1, and the most important, is the testimony of faith, the confession of faith, the belief in Islam, and specifically belief that there's one God with no equal and no multiple forms and no son and no anything like that. One God. So it's very, very strongly insistent on Unitarian monotheism, and that Muhammad is the prophet of God, the greatest prophet. And those are the 2 core beliefs. And so faith in those things is like the first and most important part of Islam. And from there, faith in all of Islam is also encompassed in that. So pillar number 1 is faith. Pillar number 2, prayer. Prayer is a big part of a lot of religions. Islam is no exception to that. In fact, they're pretty famous for their prayer. The rule generally is to pray 5 times a day, and there's a specific way that prayers are said. There's specific positions that they're set in terms of bowing and standing and bowing and prostrating, and essentially prayers are always said directly to Allah, or God. So again, there's no intermediary, there's no son of God, there's no saint, there's no whatever. And there are 5 prayers said at specific times a day, and they're always said facing towards the city of Mecca. So normally, like, in mostly that's facing east. But of course there are some places where you wouldn't face east to face Mecca, but generally east toward Mecca, and there's a reason for that. Mecca is their most holy city, and so they always pray facing it. They're actually facing a specific site in Mecca, which I'll talk about later, but prayer is very, very important. Pillar number 3 is actually charity, charitable giving. So the word is zakat, which means purification, but it also means growth. Basically, at least that's what I heard. But basically, you set aside a portion of what you have for those in need, and therefore, that helps those in need, and it also helps you to abstain from overindulgence in money, and to basically purify your possessions by setting some back for the poor and the people who need it. So that's actually the 3rd pillar of Islam, and all Muslims agree that you're commanded to give to charity. Number 4 is the fasting. And the big fast that this is mainly talking about is going on right now, and that's Ramadan. So that is a month-long fast where Muslims do not eat or drink anything from sunrise to sundown all day for a month. And it's a trying thing, and the goal is to kind of, practice self-denial, which helps the spirit, and it helps you to relate to people who are in need, but it also helps you to, again, not be too attached to, earthly things like food and water. It's a very tough thing to do. And then pillar number 5. And of course, for that they say Muslims say very rewarding thing to do. Pillar number 5, pilgrimage to Mecca. So every Muslim that is able, based on if you're physically you can't do it, or if you financially you can't afford to make the trip, but every Muslim who is able must once in their life at minimum make the pilgrimage to Mecca. The pilgrimage to Mecca is a specific event that happens every year, and it ends with a big feast at the end of Ramadan. And so what you do is you go to Mecca, you wear simple clothes, and you're not distracted, and you go to Mecca during this particularly holy time, and you go into the holiest mosque in all of Islam, and in that mosque is a mostly black, rectangular little building called the Kaaba, and that is the holiest site in Islam, and the belief based on the Quran is that Allah commanded Abraham and Ishmael to build that, and it's a place of worship. And that is actually that Kaaba is actually the building that you're facing when you do the 5 prayers every day. And so typically what they do is there's a crowd that will circle the Kaaba. I hope I'm saying that right. We circle it 7 times. And that is sort of the climax of the pilgrimage, and then, the real climax of the pilgrimage is the subsequent feast, which signals the end of Ramadan. So that is going to be happening for a lot of people very soon, because we're right in the middle of Ramadan. It just started, I think, maybe like a week or 2 ago, and yeah. Sorry for the long pause there, I was just thinking. It's going on right now. So a lot of people are fasting, a lot of people are going to make that pilgrimage. Those are the 5 basic beliefs of all those people. It's the second largest religion in the world. It's the fastest growing religion in the world. There's a huge population right here in the U.S. There are huge populations all over the world, and big controversy right now about tension between certain Christian groups and certain Muslim groups, and radical extremist Islamic terrorism in some parts of the Middle East, and Islamophobia in some parts of the West, and just a whole big thing going on. And so hopefully this is just like a back to basics, understanding what really Islam is. And I think, in my humble opinion, we can go ahead and start with those 5 pillars and build your knowledge from there, because those are the thing that basically they all agree upon. And so I'm going to be talking in future episodes about more of these basic core beliefs. 4 Noble Truths of Buddhism, 10 Commandments in Judaism, Christianity, various creeds and confessions that all the Christians acknowledge. It's hard to do, there's such a variety of them, Christians. Main tenets of Judaism, any religion that you want to hear about, basically. I'm going to get a list of core beliefs, and I'll be throwing up a video on here about it. And like I've been telling you, you can expect more interviews coming up very, very soon. and hopefully some very interesting stuff is about to happen. We've been in kind of a drag as we're trying to find some people. Communication breakdown has been going on, but we're getting there. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.